Hello all, this is a redo of my last video, Commendations Are in Order, because apparently the other one didn't have any sound on it. So we're going to do this again. To follow up from where just to follow up from last video, I raised some concerns about a few friends of mine and their actions on Facebook. There are two things I would like to do. As this is an update, I'd actually like to I'd also like to thank Sara Gallitz for, or Gallitz, I believe is the pronunciation, on Facebook for actually having presented me with a new possibility that I had never actually considered before. Or, if I had heard it before, again, I hadn't considered it before, so it really did catch me, just literally as I woke up less than 5 minutes ago. So yeah, where was I? Oh yes, first, back to the original story. As you know, I raised some concerns about things on part 1 of the series. Well, part 2, I'd like to actually commend a guy by the name of Dan Johnson. Dan Johnson was the guy who originally had written an off-the-cuff comment, which I had been concerned about, and why I conducted the actions which had caused the bad responses, which had caused me to raise my concerns over the Facebook thing. Or when I say bad responses, I mean responses that I had difficulty with. Again, I'm trying to cover this as rationally as possible. Anyway, so yeah, I messaged Dan Johnson over Facebook and let him know what my request was and my issues were, and specifically that could he please lay out arguments in depth. Could he please lay out arguments in depth when responding to posts in future, and that it would be a good idea so that this way I and others might learn from his positions. Well, not only did he go for it in great detail on a recent post. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots I took of this to set an example. Let me find it here. Yes, I just need to upload a couple of media files. Where are we here? Sorry, trying to run this with Manicam seems to be a pain in the rear today. Nope, I'm not going to do it that way. Okay, fine. Why is this thing being such a pain? There we go. Okay, so here's the first one. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer to, I'm just going to cut to this. And what you can see here is, as I said, this was on an article about Mike Huckabee. Like I said, at the time when I took these, which was yesterday when I made the original video, it actually, the debate went through a full 2 screenshots. Excuse me, hang on. Like I said, it went through the screen went down for a full 2 screenshots. But what's interesting about this is the fact that in the process of this, it's actually gone a lot further. We have continued the debate, and he even messaged me via private message earlier last night, late last night, saying that he would probably even give me a further response this morning once he'd actually had some time to fully think through my rebuttal to his rebuttal. I'm actually interested in this because of the fact that even though Dan Johnson and I appear to be on the exact opposite ends of a large number of social and political issues, I think we have a common goal, which is that we are at least attempting to achieve the truth, whatever it might happen to be. Now, we may end up taking different perspectives on methodology and the like, but the fact is, though, is that at least because he's taking a fair amount of time to, go in depth, at least when he has access to a real keyboard, which is how he put it. He gets ticked off by having to write such things on the phone because the phone keyboard is too small and will not respond properly. But anyway, the point being is the fact that he went to such great lengths for this, I'd like to commend him for actually having set an example for the kind of in-depth working I would like to see, or the kind of in-depth response that I would like to see from people on my posts, regardless of what position you hold. Even if you agree with me, I would still like that kind of in-depth thing, simply because of the fact that in the process of your supporting me, I may actually, in the process of supporting or refuting me, I will probably end up being forced to dig deeper, find other details that I'd overlooked. I mean, this is kind of wise, that, I am overlooking shit all the time, consistently, so I need people's help in helping me learn the truth, whatever it may happen to be, from across the board. And I think we're all in that position to a certain extent, one way or another. Maybe maybe more so than most other people, but, I'm just trying to get things covered and, trying to, I think that we're all trying to arrive at the truth in some form, and I'm just trying to get to whatever the truth might be in as great a detail as possible. So, and I'm hoping that that at a certain extent is what everyone else, and I'm hoping that everyone else is doing the same too. You know, we don't have to agree initially. We don't have to agree, but at least as long as we're using the same methodology and trying to go as in depth as possible, something will be learned by all of us out of it. Anyway, the final piece of this is that, as I said, I'm going to be releasing a prize on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be releasing a prize on my YouTube channel for the first time in, I think it's actually ever. I mean, I may have put contests in the past, but nobody ever responded to me, or we never got a win, or anything of that sort. But this one, Dan Johnson, because of the fact that he set such a good example, is actually going to receive a prize for this. Specifically, this is a book called The Road to Reality by Roger Penrose. I have 2 copies of this book. This particular one belongs to my great-grandfather. Sorry, not to my great-grandfather, to my grandfather, who was a particle physicist at Fermilab back during the 60s and the 70s. He was on the team that actually truly discovered the tau neutrino, though someone else took credit for it in the 1980s. Like I said, my grandfather put a lot of work into the scientific community. Anyway, let me read the back of this book, just this way you guys get an idea of what this book is supposed to be. The Road to Reality is the most important and ambitious work of science for a generation. It provides nothing less than a comprehensive account of the physical universe and the essentials of its underlying mathematical theory. It assumes no particular special knowledge on the part of the reader, so that, for example, the early chapters give us the vital mathematical background to the physical theories explored later in the book. Roger Penrose's purpose is to describe as clearly as possible our present understanding of the universe and to convey a feeling for its deep beauty and philosophical implications, as well as its intricate logical interconnections. The Road to Reality is rarely less than challenging, but the book is leavened by vivid descriptive passages, as well as hundreds of hand-drawn diagrams. In a single work of colossal scope, one of the world's greatest scientists has given us a complete and unrivaled guide to the glories of the universe which we all inhabit. Now the thing, of course, is that, like I said, this is a over 1,000-page book. As I said, with both here we go, with both illustrations and formulas on the page, on various pages, etc. Like I said, it's an in-depth piece. Now, Dan Johnson, if you are watching this and finally understand the sound, as I've already private messaged you over Facebook after the previous episode because of the glitchiness, I am asking whether or not you are interested in receiving this prize. If you are, please send me a private message with details as to how to mail it to you, or to a mutual third party that you can pick it up from. And my hope is that you will read this particular copy because it's the one that actually, that, like I said, belonged to my grandfather and has a lot more meaning to me. Largely because of the fact that it holds that much more weight behind it. I've already got a second copy, which is pretty much the same book, and I will be using to. I've already got a second copy, which I will be using. That was published in the same year, that I will be using to continue my explorations. But I wanted to give you the thicker tome because I wanted to give you the one that belonged to my grandfather because that's the one that means more to me. Now, please understand, as a final piece, Dan, I'm not expecting you to support any of my positions. As a matter of fact, because of what I'm saying. Actually, I do not want you to automatically convert to any of my positions because of the fact that I've been complimenting your arguing style. To do so would be the appeal to flattery fallacy, and I will not fall for that. Or I will not fall, I will not fall into that trap. So, with that in any mind, I look forward to our future debates coming up, Dan, and to everyone else, to Sara Gallitz, compliment as well for, thanks for pointing out the hypothesis that the part of the reason for. She stated in a response to the to my part 1 video that part of the reason why a lot of the responses on Facebook, etc., may be the way they are is actually because of the fact that the lack of face-to-face communication is partly what may actually cause the degeneration of the into the emotional level. So I'm beginning to wonder whether or not I may need to do some refurbishing on the ideas of how I communicate via YouTube and Facebook. Maybe if part of the reason why, if social media itself, and I mean I've heard the idea kind of before, in the idea, the protection by anonymity, but if it actually is the fact that we cannot see the other emotional factors and thus cannot get those fully conveyed across the board, that maybe the emotion is actually a needed carrier so that people can process rationally. And if that's the case, then rather than just simply presenting the ideas in and of themselves, then that may be an aspect of human endeavor that or human interaction that I have overlooked. I'm going to do a bit more investigation into this idea, see if I can find any evidence to confirm or refute it. But nonetheless, Sarah, thanks for at least giving me a new avenue to look down, and we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, this is my thoughts on everything, and thanks again for everyone for listening and for putting up with me as I'm attempting to struggle to better understand the human condition. All right, catch you all later.